Hello everyone and welcome to Sci-Fi Zone, where we celebrate science fiction movies and TV shows from the past, the present and the future. I'm here today with Claire and NPS and we're coming to you from alternate worlds, and if you're hearing any noises it's because it's raining upstairs even as we speak. What can I say? But this is the end of the month, so it's time for some fun factoids and frolics. So without any hesitation, let's get straight into it.
NPS's
Quiz.
Alright, so it's our trivia time again. Now, because we had Trisha Helfer a couple episodes ago as a special guest, we thought we would base these all on Battlestar Galactica, past and present, and variations, you know, because there's Pegasus and there's Caprica and all that sort of stuff. So
it's a broad range.
It's getting out there.
It's like the rain upstairs, it's broad. Yep.
Alright, so question one. What was the name of the casino planet in the 1978 pilot episode? Question two. What officer rank does Boomer hold in Galactica 80? Question three. What was Commander Adama's Viper nickname in the reimagined series? Question four. In the series Caprica, what pyramid sporting team did Daniel Greystone own? And question five. In the original series, Starbuck invented two Viper squadrons when Apollo and he were tricking the Cylons into thinking a large colonial force was attacking them. What were the squadrons called?
Now that last one could be a bit of a tricky one, but hey, if you know your Battlestar, you won't have any problems with that at all. And of course, we've got our sixth question, the mind bender of the lot. Okay, if you're a Battlestar fan, you should know this quite well. So, Cylon is actually a cut-down version of a longer title. What is it? So, while you think about that, we'll be back with these messages.
Alternate Worlds has been specialising in comics and collectibles for over 40 years, with a back issue collection of over 500,000 comics covering the golden age right through to latest releases, including signed and slabbed gems. They also have an enormous graphic novel collection, one of the largest ranges of manga in the country, as well as toys, statues and pops, and new items are arriving every Wednesday. Each month, Alternate Worlds hosts its own premium comic day, where all the rare treasures are put on display for inspection and purchase. The store also runs regular tournaments and competitions for both comic and gaming fans. And for local and interstate and international buyers, the Alternate Worlds website features their complete range of products. So whether you come in online or in store, visit them soon.
Okay, welcome back. And because this is slightly a Battlestar Galactic episode, and of course we're talking about Battlestar, which was a TV remake, and of course Claire wants to have a chat about TV show remakes. So Claire, over to you.
Well, I'm just kind of curious about what people think, whether the TV show remake, the concept generally, is a good idea or not. There have been a few. It's a bit of a trend now.
Yeah.
And particularly, well, I was going to say particularly in science fiction, but a lot of different things are getting remade. But there's been V.
Yes.
Has been remade.
Oh, huge fan of both the original and the remake, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the better ones.
Yep.
Battlestar Galactica, of course, which we've talked about a little bit, but I really liked the remake, but they also did a lot of switching it up, a lot of changing characters from male to female, and the story was a lot deeper and that sort of stuff, so I quite liked that. Lost in Space.
Yes, Lost in Space, of course, which has had its first season complete on Netflix. I haven't seen anything about the second season, but that was actually, I'd never liked the original show. Dr. Zachary Smith just really got on my ear. It's big time. Yet, ironically, the Zachary Smith in the latest show is actually quite good.
Yep.
And I think that's a remake, personally, that is actually been very successful. It's not everybody's cup of tea, and of course, the first season, they're not even lost in space. That doesn't happen until the end of the season, so go figure. But I think they did a very good job.
Yeah, I thought it worked really well. And as you say, the character of Dr. Smith is, once again, they've changed it to a female character. But she's still got that really crafty, almost nasty,
conniving, sort of
narcissistic.
And there is no bumbling booby bits in there or anything like that, so which is kind of handy. So.
And even the robot does a few more extra bits and pieces.
Yes.
Well, the robot, what they're doing with the robot is quite interesting.
Well, the robot doesn't speak, which is kind of groovy,
Yeah, and there's confusion about its origin and, you know, is it going to remain friendly and helpful or not? There's a lot of that sort of stuff going on. I wonder, I mean, my preference, I think, is for new stories, new stuff, new interesting things. But they're taking some of these old stories, taking the original concepts and bringing them into the new era, new century with new technology that we've now got available and those sorts of things. So I'm wondering what you guys think about whether we get remakes of movies all the time, but what do you think about the idea of remakes of TV shows? And is there one that you think would be a good one to do?
Well, it's kind of funny because Twilight Zone's been remade 4 times now.
Yeah.
It's like you had the original 50s version, the one from 85, 2002 and 2019. The Zone, it's all about the Zone, you see. So,
well, just on that, are they redoing stories from the previous version?
I don't
is it
believe
new?
they're remaking them. I think they're all completely new. There was a situation where in the original series there was actually one particular episode that had a certain ending. Then they remade it in the new 85 version and changed the ending because the ending could have gone left or right, and the original version they went this way, and in the remake they went that way.
Okay.
And so it was actually a bit of a variation on what they could have done. So I don't think maybe Nightmare from 20,000 feet, which I believe is now called Nightmare at 30,000 feet. That's a very popular one. It even featured in Twilight Zone, the movie.
Yeah.
But I've never really sort of focused on the newer versions, all 3 iterations. I prefer the original myself. But from all reports, apparently it's been very successful. But they never last, like a lot of these shows. They do their run a couple of years and then they just sort of peter out. So.
Yeah.
Well, they did that with the Master of the Universe cartoon. They started that in 83 to about 86, and they brought out She-Ra, which was the companion version. Then they released a 1990s version where they went into space and looked completely different, even though they were supposed to come from Eternia, looking all muscular and everything. Then they looked like human space sort of people, which didn't sort of really work. And then they did a 2002 reboot where they changed the characters, made them look a little bit different. Some better, some actually looked worse. And now they're looking at doing the new movie, which has been on the cards for about 15 years now.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one, that one. You'd have to find a way to do it to make it seem more relevant now, I think.
One of the things that I've found interesting is that with Doctor Who, for example, there was such a long break from the 90s to the pick-up shows in the 2000s. You could almost class it as a remake.
Yeah, but it's not.
I know it's not.
You know I'm going to argue with you on this one.
Fine.
It's not a remake. It's a continuation of the story.
Yeah, true.
And you have to accept that, I think, because like with Twilight Zone or something like that, they're separate individual stories. But with Doctor Who, it's continually referencing the past, and it's referencing the past that we've seen on screen. So I don't. It's not a remake because it acknowledges that all this did happen and that this is the next step and the continuation.
Cool.
So I'm going to say no, not a remake.
That's nothing wrong with it. But although, funnily enough, you can watch all the original first 6 or 7 Doctors, whatever it is, and you get the new stuff, and it's like a completely different program. But I see where you're coming from, and it is good that they do reference back to the original stuff. So,
well, I'm not sure it's a completely different program. I mean, production values, yes, definitely different, definitely improved. But that's more a product of the technology that's available to us and that sort of stuff now.
I'm just thinking of all the Doctor Who fans out there right now. You're looking at this screen going, yes, for Claire and boo for Dag. So that's okay. I'm not having a go. It's all good.
I'm going to slightly slide to this side of the table.
I
don't blame you at all. We mentioned V earlier. V is actually one of those shows I actually think works good in both versions. I really enjoyed the remake version. It had slight links back to the original series, but it was definitely a program which had a lot of potential. Only lasted 2 seasons, which was a shame because it finished on a cliffhanger. And there may be an episode of this show in the future where we cover of V in detail. I'm a bit of a fan, which is actually quite good. But TV show remakes, they don't seem to do, or at least in the science fiction realm, as many as they do for films, as you mentioned earlier. So I'm not too sure why that is. But by all counts, Battlestar was probably the most radical of
and
the
the
lot.
most successful.
Yeah. By
I
far.
would say, so far.
Yeah, well, it lasted longer than the original show. And funnily enough, if you were to say to somebody, oh, watch this version, then watch that version, it's like a chalk and cheese thing, aside from the name and some of the concepts, two completely different entities. And I think they did a lot more with the remake. And of course, Richard Hatch, who was Apollo in the original series, comes back as Tom Zarek in the remake. And he's actually a better character than Apollo. He was really fantastic as Tom Zarek. So if you're a fan of Battlestar, either version, it's worth watching just for that.
That's because he wanted to bring a Battlestar show
years
back
earlier.
in the
90s, yes, he did.
But no one wanted him to do it because they thought it's not going to work. And, well, booey to them because, look, it worked. It worked and it was great.
It was. And speaking of stuff to do with Battlestar, our episode today is all about Battlestar trivia, and we should probably give you the answers to these questions. Now, if you're hearing funny noises at the moment, there's a plane flying overhead. It could be a spy plane trying to work out. Maybe they're trying to work out the answers before we tell them to you. How good is that? Anyway, no mucking around. I'm going to go back to MPS. MPS, help me out here. What are the answers to these questions? I need to know.
All right, so question 1 was, what was the name of the casino planet in the 1978 pilot episode? Carolyn. Question 2, what officer rank does Boomer hold in Galactica 80? Colonel. Question 3, what was Commander Adama's Viper nickname in the reimagined series? Husker. Question 4, in the series Caprica, what pyramid sporting team did Daniel Greystone own?
Between the Caprica Buccaneers and the Olympia Stallions.
You know, I should have remembered you own the Buccaneers.
Caprica Buccaneers. Question 5, in the original series, Starbuck invented 2 Viper squadrons when Apollo and he were tricking the Cylons into thinking a large colonial force was attacking them. What were the squadrons called?
Purple and orange squadrons.
We don't have purple and orange squadrons.
Purple and orange.
How good was that? Even our camera operator actually knew purple and orange. He is a nerd, what can I say? Now, of course, question number 6, the hard one. What does Cylon actually stand for? Well, believe it or not, it actually stands for...
Cybernetic Life Form Node, a Cylon.
Did you guys know that?
I did
How
not
cool
know
is
that.
it? It's actually from the Caprica TV series, which I'm a huge fan of. So I'm sure some Battlestar devotees out there will be going, no, it's not. But it is. It's actually mainly for the Centurions, not to do with the humanoid version. So there you go. Cybernetic life form node. How cool is that? Oh, I love it. Absolutely wonderful. All right. Well, that's actually the end of our episode. We hope you enjoyed that trivia-related stuff. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click on subscribe and press the bell for all the latest updates and exciting information that's coming out here. Next week, we're actually going to be discussing Batman 1989 turning 30 years old. How good is that? So as they say, if you've got to go, go with a smile and stay in the zone. Bye for now.